introduce the person of eminence, Professor Dr. K. Muthuchelian. Professor Dr. K. Muthuchelian is a world-renowned biology scientist with more than 30 years of teaching and research experience at different hierarchical levels, including professor, head and chairperson, vice chancellor. Currently, he is serving as the pro-vice chancellor at the Anand Sagar University, Bangalore. He obtained his doctoral degree from the School of Biological Sciences, Madurai Kamaraj University, Madurai, India. Subsequently, he had his postdoctoral research from University of Ancona, Italy. He has been conferred with prestigious Doctor of Science in recognition of his research accomplishment on biomass resource management and technology. He has been conferred with several fellowships from prominent foreign and Indian scientific societies, including International Energy Foundation Canada, the National Academy of Biological Sciences, Paleobotanical Society, Zoological Society of India, National Environment Study Academy, and Indian Applied Association for Microbiologists. He has guided over 81 students for research and 4 scholars for postdoctoral program, and 43 candidates have been awarded with a PhD under his supervision. In these 3 decades of research experience with more than 30 research projects with leading international and national organizations including IUCN in Switzerland, ICTP Italy, University of Reading UK, EPA USA, BSA UK, Euroscience France, Third World Network Malaysia, the World Water Council France, the Global Mountain Biodiversity Assessment Switzerland, Instituto di Agrario San Michele Taranto Italy, and Nitrogen Fixing Tree Association Hawaii USA. MAB program and National Biodiversity Authority MOEF and CC. He has published more than 220 research articles, 25 books, 42 book chapters, and more than 500 popular scientific research articles in SCI journal and magazines to attain his H index 23. Notably, he has authored 4 books of Uir Virimam, Biodiversity, the Current Status and Management in Tamil, and these books graciously was released by Honorable Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, former President of India, and His Excellency Dr. K. Roshaya, the Governor and the Chancellor Government of Tamil Nadu, widely appreciated by peace of scientists in the arena. Besides, he also involved in the steering committee in 12th State Planning Commission, Government of Tamil Nadu, and expert member in the Puducherry State Higher Education Council. He served as the chairman of NAGPIR team visits in many institutions across India and an active member for different panel and committees in UGC, DST, MNREC, MOEF, and CC. He received 40 prestigious international national awards into his academic credentials, including the first Indian science honored with the prestigious award by University of Ancona, Italy 1998, Lifetime Achievement Award in the Environmental Science, Food and Nutritional Science and Microbiology, twice the Merit of Excellence Award, Eminent Scientist Award, and Professor S. Kanayan Memorial Award. Tamil Nadu's Best Scientist in the Environmental Science by TNS-CST, the Best Scientist in the Environmental Management by Department of Environment, Government of Tamil Nadu, and he was awarded as the Best Vice Chancellor Award twice by the Indian Red Cross Society Tamil Nadu, and consequently awarded with Best Tamil Book in 2014 for Uir Virimam, and in 2015 for Nulagam Arivalagu Nulaivai in Tamil. The library, a gateway to knowledge by the Department of Tamil and Culture, Government of Tamil Nadu. He has brought academic and administrative reforms for vibrant administration and rigorous academic initiatives in his academic positions at various levels like Vice Chancellor, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Registrar, Controller of Examiner, In Charge and Coordinator for the University with potential of excellence, a grant of 40 crores, member syndicate, Senate and Academic Council at higher educational institutions. During his tenure at Periyar University, in addition to creating a corpus fund of 80 crores, he established 5 new departments, 6 research centers, 4 constituent colleges and 3 government colleges. In addition, he has established several centers, cells including All India Civil Service Examination Free Coaching Center, Health Center, Women's Welfare Center, NET-SCT Free Coaching Cell and Internal Quality Assurance Cell for the benefit of students' community. Further, he explored the possibility of establishing Meta University, the concept of benefiting the students and the scholars to utilize the facility from other institutions. During his tenure at Periyar University, more than 22,000 students have been benefited to the Career Counseling and Placement Cell. In the domain of introducing innovative frontier and academic programs and courses, Dr. Muthuchelian is in the forefront in the higher education learning institutions in the state. Indeed, he has a long-term vision for transforming the academic and administrative systems with vision, mode and approach. His work stands as a monument to the individual. Above all, he is a kind person with noble heart, ready to extend his helping hand to the needy at any time. He has earned a lot of encomium from various people, professionals, colleagues, and from the students also. It may not be out of place to mention here that he is the role model for the young scientist who aspires to reach a higher level. I now request Professor Dr. K. Muthuchelian to enlighten us with the knowledge.
Welcome to YouTube channel Max Science Easy with Dr. KMC. If you like this lecture, please subscribe. We are delighted to see you all, the happy viewers. We are going to see another exciting lecture on the role of nanovectors and drug delivery systems in cancer therapy. So what do you mean by nano? The nanotechnology is a science, engineering and technology coupled all these the frontiers of the sciences at the nanoscale. So the scale here defined is 1 to 100 nanometers. So the nano can refer to the modern technologies, the materials, the particles, the objects. We are focusing on nanomaterials as these are already being used in workplaces more widely. A sheet of paper, for example, a sheet of paper is about 100,000 nanometers thick and which is made up of the cellulose materials. And a human hair is around 80,000 to 100,000 nanometers wide. So this is the simplest way that examples I have quoted here. So the nanomaterials may be in structure, it may be occur naturally, it may produce by human activity called metabolic activity, and then third is it produced on the purpose, that is engineered. So the variety of the nanoparticles which are in world, in practice, all that. I think in the down picture you could see that the human hair and the sheet of paper which I mentioned down, all mentioned here. So whatever may be that you all, it has been a wide usage of that in the current scenario. So what are the classes of the nanomaterials? These are the structure, the picture which shows that the nanomaterials, you could see that it is a two major division, is a bulk and a surface, and then all together you can see that the one phase or the multi-phase, and then other way the surface which can be of the structured surface, either film or the structured film, and all together the nanomaterials are the particles which are surface bound, suspended in liquids, suspended in solids or in airborne. So these are the classes of nanomaterials available in the world. So this nanomaterial or the nanoparticle synthesis, there are so many processes here. One is the colloidal chemical methods, we can process it, synthesis it, and then second is the attrition, third pyrolysis, fourth the RF plasma, and then fifth is the thermal decomposition, and lastly is the pulsed laser method. So these are the materials, the matters, how the nanoparticles are synthesized. So why nano materials? It has, what are the property for that? One is the high aspect ratio we mentioned. So this has a lot of the role here, and then the quantum effect. For example, the quantum effect, that means the nanoparticles absorbs the alpha wavelength and later it gives the energy level in a high value for that. So there is a bulk mode materials also available, again it is absorbed, and it's at the particle size will be bigger than the alpha particles. So here the radiation shift from the two edges of the visible spectra, which I mentioned as the alpha wavelength of that, and both are the energy releasing and the substances. So what are the main role of the nanovectors currently in the medicine? Then these nanovectors are now has been a great momentum and they has been used variedly for a therapeutic value. So what are those the nanomaterials which are having a therapeutic values are? Number one is the liposomes, the antibodies and their conjugates, viral vectors, polymeric micelles, and these materials which also comes under the size of the material is nanoparticles, some block copolymers, and then polymer and protein conjugates combined together, and then the last one is the tentrimers and the tendrons. So these are the variety of the nanoparticles available in the therapeutic value of the research. So what do you mean by drug delivery? With the help of the nanomaterials, how the drug can be delivered directly or along with the coat of this type of the nanomaterials. So here the direct drug delivery, sometimes it may not reach to the target cells of the any affected body, and now it has been coated with the above said nanoparticles, and if this passed inside into the system, and definitely it will reach to the target cells, and then it will have a greater reaction, and thereby it cures the many diseases. So the drug delivery is the method or the process of administering pharmaceutical compound to achieve a therapeutic effect in humans or animals, as I said. So most of the common methods of delivery include the preferred non-invasive and the peripheral and through the mouth, we call the oral, and then through the topical skin, or transmuscular, or which is having the nasal, buccal, sublingual, vaginal, then ocular and rectal, the application, and also through the inhalation routes, through the bronchia. And these the nanomaterials, which has the many medication value, are used in this, the peptide and protein, antibody, vaccine, gene-based the drugs in general may not be administered using these routes because they might be susceptible to enzymatic degradation, or it can not be absorbed into the systematic circulation and then efficiency due to the molecular size and change and the charge issues to the therapeutically effective. So here the protein and peptide drugs have to be delivered by the injection. So next to the delivery system is the novel drug delivery system, we call it as the NDDS, refers to the approaches, the formulations, the technologies and systems for transporting a pharmaceutical compound of the any natural or synthetic in the body as needed to safely achieve its desired therapeutic effects, having the maximum the effect through the drugs. So here it may involve the scientific site, the targeting which I mentioned, where it has been exact locately and there is a mode of action within the body, or it might involve facilitating systemic the pharmacokinetics. In any case, it is typically concerned with both the quantity and the duration of the drug presence inside the human body. So why do we need this NDDS? So the conventional the dosage forms provide drug release immediately, and it causes fluctuation of the drug level in blood depending upon the dosage form. So it differs from the low to high and then high to low in terms of the body acquisition and then later the action. So therefore, to maintain the drug concentration within the therapeutically effective range needs the novel drug delivery system. So it requires the proper the dosage in terms and then the time, all depends on the mode of action required on the body system. So here the novel the drug delivery system is very important for that. So here the NDDS is advanced drug delivery system which improves the drug potency, the controlled drug release to a sustained therapeutic effect for the long-term effect. So provide a greater safety. Finally, it is to target a drug specifically to the desired tissue for that. So this system have been for delivery of the drug other than the conventional drug delivery system. So we need that. So where we are going to apply this, the particles, that is the nanoparticles here. So it applies mostly to the cancer, because still the research is going on in the high level, in the molecular or immuno level. So this cancer is one of the most important the cause of the death among the human in the world. So this is the second most common causes in the world, and 5-year survival rate is now only 62%. 62% for those who are disease free, in remission, or the under treatment levels. So the cancer cells are characterized by the loss of contact with inhibition. I think this is the one, the important one. So normally it grow on top of one another and on top or between the normal cells. So this is the location of the cancer cells normally grow inside the body. So the cancer cells respond differently than normal cells to intracellular signals regulating the equilibrium. So normally these type of the cells will divide indiscriminately and haphazardly. That's why we have been calling these tissues as the malignant. So the cancer, that is one, the therapy that leads to the cancer cell therapy or the cancer cell theory, what it indicates that. So the loss of the intracellular control of the proliferation of the cancer cell results from the mutation of the stem cells normally. So this is one which deals about the stem cell therapy, and based on that we have been given, and here the theory which mostly have been given as the stem cell. So once mutated, the cell can die, number one, and number two, it recognizes the damage and repair itself. Third is a survive and pass on the damage. So the surviving mutated cells have the potential to become what? The malignant or the cancer growth. So cell theory, the stem cell theory, which mainly I think is emphasized on the proliferation of the cells from the mutation. So what is the normal cell differentiation? So for example, the fertilized ova. The fertilized ova with potential to produce all the differentiated cells of the body. Here there are three types of the cells in the differentiation. One is the endoderm cells, and then mesoderm, and then ectoderm. So all these cells are differentiated during that. So the endoderm will form the mature cells of where the trachea, lungs and epithelium, which are the location of the endoderm cells to produce the differentiated cells. And the mesoderm, mainly the cells which have the mature cells of the muscles, bones and connective tissues. It differentiated in these forms. And then third one, the action is on the differentiation which occurs on the mature cells of the brain, skin and the glands. So these are the normal cellular differentiation which occur in the body. What are the processes of the cancer development? So mainly it depends on number one, the initiation. Second, the promotion. Third is the progression. So under the initiation, you could see that a target cell, which has, I think, is by the virus, by the hormone, the radiation, chemicals, hereditary factors, unknown factors. This may be of the different reasons for that, how the development has been occurred in a normal cell. That. So this target cell altered how it become the altered cell, and then later how the differentiation occurred and the proliferation, you can see that in so how the target cell become the altered cell, and this altered cell after differentiation, it become the cancer cell. And this cancer cell once formed out, it will be, divide, and during the promotion stage, it means the proliferation at the mitotic rate of the tissue of the origin, and you could see that one cell has been divided into two and its cell division occurs, and in the last phase, that is the progression, the evidence of the clinical disease are identified and evidence of the regional spread, and then the metastasis occurs. So these are the process of the a cancer cell, how a target cell have been occurred and all those things. Then since 1990, the progress by many measures, the treatment. How? What are the treatment available for the treatment of the cancer cells? So the treatment first, number one, which includes the new therapies now in focus, and imaging, radiation, oncology, and surgery advances, that has been regular practice we have been doing for the cancer cells treatment, and then precision medicine, and then again the treatment is through the immunotherapy. So these are the advances in the treatment process, against the cancer cells. And second is the prevention. So I think we used to say that prevention is better than cure. So the prevention here, the interventions. So the intervention for the infection related cancers, that is one step. And then we can target for the cancer susceptibility genes, so that we go to identify. And third is the drug and surgical risk reduction strategies that has been adopted. So this comes under the prevention. So thereby the treatment or the prevention, what is mean by the quality of the life? So the better toxicity management we have to. So this is ultimately leads to the cytotoxicity measurement. So less intensive therapies, and then palliative care integration. So this is what the quality of the life I have mentioned when you have this problem. And then survivorship. So growing research area, and then late effects identified of the cancer cells, and then the surveillance strategies established for that. So since 1990, the progress made by many methods have been mentioned here. Number one, the treatment, what are the treatment so far has been available in the medical technology, and then prevention, and then how to make the better quality of the life, and then survivorship. So all, I think all important points to be taken care since from the 1990 onwards. So these are the stages of the progress by the many measures treatment against the cancer. So our target and our study here, the nanovectors. So what are the properties of the nanovectors? Currently, many substances are under investigation. A variety. I will tell you that what are the various the vectors currently available for drug delivery. So the nanoparticles for drug delivery may include the biological substances which may be of the natural albumin, gelatin, and phospholipids for liposomes, synthetic substances which includes the polymers and solid metal particles. So these are the major nanoparticles available as number one, the biological substances, and then the synthetic substances. Both are taking a key role in the drug delivery with the help of the nanovectors. So the nanoparticles provide enhanced signal by nature of their inherent properties or attached to the moieties, which leads to the distribution of the nanoparticles within an organ can be tracked on real-time imaging studies. So this can be, I think, studied with the help of the real-time imaging activities, then what the mode of action inside along with the nanovectors. So it provides the feedback that directs adjustments in fusion rate and then volume, which should be improve the matching of the distribution to the nanoparticles to the distribution of the tumor or the cancer. So what are the properties of the nanovectors? What it normally does? So the ability of some nanoparticles to cross the blood-brain barrier may open new avenues for the delivery of the drugs to the brain. So this is one that how it takes a major role in the brain. And then number two, the nanoimmunology. So the nanoimmunology here it defines and the use of the nanoparticles conjugated to the antibodies are bound to the immune cells, which can directly deliver the nanoparticles to the tumor markers on the target tissue where we have the problem, and thus decreasing the systemic exposure to the nanoparticles. So this is the mode in the nanoimmunology. And third, the capability to design better nanovectors will stimulate the development of the new agents that provide the highly targeted nanotherapy to diseased tissue or having the problem of the tumor or the cancer we call. So next the properties is a nanovectors and drug delivery system are interest in worldwide now. This is the recent one development. It describes the potential benefits lot and safety concerns also of the use of these nanoparticles and their present and future use in the clinical medicine. So there is a lot of advantages of using these nanoparticles because it is in a safe and potential benefits. So the extent of the application of the nanomedicine to the treatment of the disease of the central nervous system CNS will depend on further advances being made in the nanotechnology and with the help of the image guided therapy. So the ability to design the nanoparticles with a variety of the unique traits, the targeting, imaging and then the therapeutic the components is well suited to the coming era in the years and then of the personalized medicine. So that personalized medicines will have a greater role in the potentially, which includes the use of the gene and the siRNA therapy. So these nanoscale platforms are wide and there are so many the nanoparticles are now available. Number one is the polymeric nanoparticles. So what is mean by polymeric nanoparticles? We call it the PNP, which are defined as the submicron, that is again 1 to 1000 nanometer colloidal particles in nature comprising active pharmaceutical ingredients encapsulated within the absorbed the macromolecule substance polymer. So here the polymer based nanoparticles effective which carry the drugs as I mentioned proteins and DNA to the target cell, whatever may be of the effective one. So these nanoparticles will effectively carry as I mentioned the carrier whether it is a drug or protein and the DNA to the target cells or organs which have the problem of the cancer. And their nanometer size promotes effective the permeation through cell membranes and stability in the bloodstream. So I think in the picture you can show that there is a drug is encapsulated with the polymer which acts as the nanoparticle as a nanocarrier, and then later you can see that the drug where it acts and then the polymer is there in a cell affecting a cell of having the cancer. So here the nanoscale platforms is having the another platform which is called as the polymeric nanoparticles. Here the polymers are being developed to create the delivery system again with excellent drug and protein loading which can carry along with that and release the properties, a long shelf life and a little toxicity. So again it uses a carrier of any the drug or the protein which are loaded on these particle on the polymeric nanoparticle and which act as a very effective agent and with having the long shelf life and the little toxicity. Then the amphiphilic block or the graph copolymers assemble spontaneously to the polymeric nanoconjugates in the aqueous solution. This can be prepared very efficiently and then easily. So these type of the polymers like having the subparticles or the subcategories are the polylactic acid PLA which is available, and then polyglycolic acid PGA is available, and then polylactic glycolic acid PLGA, and then the poly E caprolactone, and then polyglutamic acid and polymalic acid and other copolymers have been the most extensively used under the category of the polymeric the nanoparticles which are having excellent having the efficiency, having a long shelf life and having a desired properties and which carries the drug and protein as a carrier and then it leads to the target cells and then thereby a curing. And then another the process is the polymeric nanoparticles which having a proven biocompatibility these nanoparticles are very adaptive, with our body, and these polymers have been used in surgery also for the past 3 decades, 30 years. We have been using that. So the degradation of the drug release rate of these polymers can be controlled by adjusting their molecular mass. We can do that chemically, and then in case of the copolymers, their composition and the microstructure. So the polymeric, the nanoparticles are very effective, and there is a long history of the reaction in the body against the cancer or the tumor cells. Then what next is the polymeric nanoconjugates. So the polymeric nanoconjugates are highly innovative technologies in nanomedicine, in care, which are generally synthesized around a polymer with dependent functional groups, having dependent functional groups having OH, COOH, and then NH2. So these agents bear the numerous functional groups that are available for covalent binding to a variety of the biochemically active groups, which direct them to directly to the malignant tumors, where they can deliver the functional drugs acting on several tumor targets. For example, mRNA and or the protein. So here these type of the polymeric nanoconjugates are again as equal to the other one, which also having a multifunction and carrying the drug, and then it will target to the cells where having the problem of the malignant tumor. So these nanoconjugates that carry more than one functional group provide the capability to simultaneously inhibit. So it has the capacity to take one or two or several the carriers, nanoconjugates, so carrying the functional group. So what normally it does is it inhibits several tumor pathways. So having the one or more functional group having the function of the inhibition with several tumor pathways, and it delivers the optimal drug concentration in the optimum level to the site of the treatment and reduce adverse effects on the healthy tissue without having a problem to the adjacent cells. So I think this is a wonder that the polymeric nanoconjugates are taking a lead role in the cancer therapy. And then another one is the platform is called as the micellis. So the micellis are amphiphilic, and spherical structure in form, composed of the hydrophobic core and the hydrophilic shell. So structurally it has the one is the hydrophobic core and then hydrophilic shell. So the hydrophilic shell stabilizes the micelle in an aqueous environment for intravenous delivery, and the hydrophobic core stores a payload of the drug for the therapy. So both are the hydrophilic core and then the shell having a functional relation, and then it doing the job very efficiently. So due to their nanoscale dimensions, so the diameter less than 50 nanometer, normally this type of the micellis, the platform, their hydrophilic shell and then polymeric micelle resist the elimination by the endothelial system, which increases their circulation time and ability to deliver the drug to the target cells. I think here both the core and the shell are taking a lead role in terms of the carrier in the functional, having the diameter less than the 50 nanometer, and then it's functioning very effectively to the target cells. And next, the role here is the polymeric micellis are again is highly stable. It's highly stable in both in the in vitro and in vivo, are very compatible to compatible to the human system and the tissues, and can dissolve a broad variety of the poorly soluble the pharmaceutics, chemicals, and several types of the drug loaded micellis are currently being tested in the preclinical and clinical trials. So I think here a lot of the functional groups are working on that. So mainly the compounds which are using now is the soluble copolymers with lipids such as the polyethylene glycol ethanolamine conjugate. So this is one of the example for that. And another important the platform which are now has been used as a carrier the vectors is the peptides and proteins. So peptides and proteins are naturally have better defined the chemical composition, And the discovery of the novel peptides are the important one. The protein sets in motion in the industrial effort, making to rapidly produce the suitable quantities of the pharmaceutical grade product synthesized in a large scale, which is suitable for the rapid, the biological, the pharmaceutical testing, and eventually the clinical application. So these type of the peptides interact non-specifically with the cell membrane component and specifically with the various cellular the receptors. So it has the action, mode of action on the cell membrane and then also with the various cellular receptors. So these peptides that specifically interact with certain receptors overexpressed by cancer cells have been successfully developed as targeting molecules for drug delivery in vivo. We can see through the in vivo imaging the technology. So this is a way that the peptides and proteins are taking a lead role in the cancer therapy. And then another one, the platform is important, is the metal complexes. So there are, here I would like to mention two complexes. One is the iron oxide based nanoparticle. So it has a lead role in that. How it takes is very important. And here the super paramagnetic iron oxide contrast agents either are the form of the core, the magnetic nanoparticles that having the polymeric coating with the chemicals or the phytodrives or the synthetic threads are more homogeneously integrated into the polymeric, the nanoparticles. The another one, the metal complex which even currently in use is the gold nanoparticles have also been used for the cancer cells imaging and targeting to know the growth and etc. And here these gold nanoparticles are very attractive nanoscale agents as they are, again it's a biocompatible and may also naturally emit radiation and have high surface reactivity. So these are the research pertain to the use of the metal complexes, especially the iron based oxide and then also the cold nanoparticles in the target of the cancer therapy. And then next is the super paramagnetic iron oxide nanoparticles, and it also the researchers have been also very recently demonstrated the use of the super paramagnetic iron oxide, again is the iron oxide nanoparticles to image the neovasculature of the glioma animal models and to image stem cells in vivo and then both in vitro. So I think this is a lead role in the effect, and normally what it insights that it reflect the stages of the growth to the tumor growth rate and then degree of the tumor angiogenesis and the effectiveness of the treatment and vigor of the normal cells. All will be monitored by this type of the super paramagnetic iron oxide, the nanoparticle usage in the cancer cell therapy. And then another one is the nano scale platforms is the endohedral metallofuran nanoparticles. So these particles have attracted considerable interest over the past 1 decade, 10 years. So normally these particles are able to transfer the electrons from encapsulated metal atoms to the furan cage, and here the metal furan cages solubilize the metabolic agents and prepare them for use in the MRI applications. So next one is the very recently there has been wide use is the carbon nano platforms. We call as the carbon nanotubes. So these carbon nanotubes, we call CNT, can be fabricated into biodegradable nanostructures, which are mostly in the cylindrical shape, that is cylindrical bucket tubes, which are currently being used as a nanomedicine and the tissue engineering studies as nanovectors. I think you could see the molecular structure of the carbon nanotubes here. So here again the size, I think you can see that is 0.4 to 2 nanometer, and then double wall, so 1 to 3.5 nanometer in diameter, and also in shape is multi-wall 2 to 100 nanometer diameter. So both these carbon nano platforms size and composition must be carefully controlled to promote the intracellular delivery of these nanotubes and to prevent the immune reaction to them in the cancer cells. So another one is the fullerenes. The fullerenes are mainly the carbon allotropic compounds that were predicted to exist in 1970 onwards and officially discovered in 1985. So the most common form is C60, the carbon having the 60. Their landmark discovery has since led to the synthesis of the fullerene derivatives such as C61, the butylic acid. So hydrated the C16 fullerene protects against the damage from the X-ray, the radiation, both in the in vitro and in vivo in mice by reducing the formation of the reactive oxygen species, ROS, inside the cells when the reaction. Then another, the platforms as material is the nano diamonds, which act as a carrier, the nano vector here. And compared to other earlier carbon nano materials, these nano diamonds, NDS, are attractive agents for use of the in the biological and medical applications largely nowadays due to their greater biocompatibility and then stable photoluminescence and then ease of purification of these compounds and commercial availability and with the minimal toxicity. So these are the various advantages of the using of these nano diamonds in the cancer cell therapy. So these nano diamonds can be functionalized and conjugated to a variety of the molecules to the purpose of the cell labeling and the drug delivery. So adding certain functional groups to these nano diamonds can improve their solubility, we can do that, and direct them to specific binding sites of the target cells of the cancer and tissues and reduce their effects on the normal, the adjacent tissues. So this is one of the best advantages of the using of the carrier, the nano diamonds. So next the carbon nano, the platforms, the 10 trimers. So these 10 trimers are one of the most versatile and extensively studied nanostructure carrier system, and these 10 trimers are highly complex molecules with a core, branches and end groups here, and these 10 trimers have been studied extensively for the targeting and the delivery of the therapeutic agents carrying the drugs for cancer and of the contrast agents for the magnetic resonance imaging. So here the biocompatible, the 10 trimers have been used as a delivery system for potent drugs such as the cisplatin and the doxorubicin in the cancer treatment now have been using, and both the cisplatin and this doxorubicin can be added with these 10 trimers is effective in the cancer treatment. So the surface chemistry of these materials can be modified and easily to include the ligands. The ligands here means the molecules that attract the cell surface receptors that can be used to target the 10 trimer to the target the cancer cell or the tumor tissues. So where all these platforms, the nano carriers or the nano materials in application, I think applications are mainly we have been targeting only for the cancer diagnosis and treatment. So here the overarching, the goal of this research is to deliver the imaging probes, and therapeutics in the high concentration to the tumor. So the novel, the diagnostic and therapeutic agents for use in the oncology study will be created using the nanotechnology. So now I think is a greater emphasis has been given both the oncology and the nanotechnology coupled together in a greater momentum nowadays. So this the nanoconjugates concept for the cancer therapy can surmount these drawbacks of the classical our original the chemotherapy, because they can be designed or designated for the sustained release of the drug we can do, and then passive enhanced permeability for the effective based the targeting of the macromolecules to the tumor tissue, and then ligand based targeting of the cell surface antigens and the modules active in the endosomal uptake and membrane disruption, and then drug release into the cytoplasm and protection from the enzymatic degradation. So these are very useful in terms of the non-conjugates concept for the cancer therapy. Again, the same the anti the uh, tumor research, and then also with the help of the these nanoparticles, the drug delivery to the brain continues to be one of the most significant challenges of the modern neuromedicine. So that's why we have been using this type of materials in the blood-brain barrier. And for drugs to reverse the pathologic changes in the CNS, and they must be able to traverse the nearly impervious blood-brain barrier. So unlike the other capillaries in the body, the capillaries of this brain, the blood-brain barrier, are extraordinarily selective in permeability. Only the hydrophobic and non-toxic and uncharged molecules can pass through very easily into the blood-brain barrier along with the diffusion gradient. So here the particles forms the drug complex that could be very effective against the blood-brain barrier. And all these these methods are, which includes the lipidization and then the temporary alteration of the blood-brain barrier, then invasive the delivery, and then convection enhanced delivery and active facilitated cell transport. So I think lot has been application have been used with the help of the nanovectors here. And another one is the application to detect the tumor, the angiogenesis, the growth. So angiogenesis is required for the growth of the solid tumors especially, and antagonism of the angiogenesis can slow the tumor growth. So here the nanotechnology is being used to identify the mechanism of the tumor genesis in the growth development. So to explore the contribution of these endothelial precursor cells to the neovascularization of the certain tumors. So the endothelial precursor cells, the EPC of the homeotoptic cell origin, were labeled with the FDA approved Textron coated supramagnetic iron oxide, the nanoparticles. So I think the growth of the tumor can be detected with the help of both with the help of the cells, the supramagnetic iron oxide nanoparticles, Textron and so on, can be used in the tumor angiogenesis. Then next is the nano imaging and neuro surgery. Here mainly in the neuro cells. That's why it's called as the nano neurosurgery. So nano imaging can also be growing in a potential way in the cancer oncology. It's grown due to its potential to detect, number one, and diagnose the cancer and other human diseases even at an early stage. So normally the cancer can be, most of the cases, more than 70-75% have been detected only in the later stages of the growth of the cell. And here I think if you know that the situation of the cancer in a human, early stage can be detected with the help of the nano imaging and nano neurosurgery technologies. And this implementation of the nano neurosurgery will require, it needs the desired and functional nanoparticles which are required, and then the bundling of these functional nanoparticles in a suitable delivery system that to be required. And then third is the incorporation of the nanoparticles both in the ex vivo and then into the stem cells. And finally what we require is the injection of the stem cells into the cell deficient brain region that requires the repair. So all these things which are required for the implementation of the nano neurosurgery in the oncology. Then another one is the lymph node MRI, and then staging of many types of the cancers now establish the prognosis and then directs the cancer treatment. Here the accurate stage requires the detection of the presence of the cancer cells or confirmation of the absence of lymph node the metastasis. So MRI will provide the soft tissue images with excellent resolution. It can be relatively used, and then again it is advantages that relatively insensitive to the identification of the early involvement of the lymph nodes of the metastatic cells. But with the help of the high resolution MRA with lymphotropic supramagnetic the nanoparticles has the potential to be adopted broadly for the clinical use for the identification of the acute the lymph node the metastasis. So the nanoparticles has been used as a platforms for the many applications, especially in the cancer therapy of the oncology studies. And final to the conclusions, this nano neuro immunotherapy is a developing field based on the development of the nanoparticles. Normally, I think we emphasized all the matters earlier. It binds to a target with minimum specificity and having the immune specificity, and that deliver the drug well in the target cells. And another emerging strategy is the nanoparticle augmented cell therapy, again which provides a method to simultaneously provide treatment and imaging at the site of the brain the diseases. So here the nanomedicine will participate both in the development of the personalized medicine. So it has been widely used now, and patients will undergo the treatment tailored to their unique genetic makeup. So in addition to that, developments in the field of the pharmacogenomics, nutrigenomics and ecogenomics will definitely assume increasing importance in the current scenario of the nanoparticles and nano vectors in the nanotechnology. And using these techniques of image guided therapy and nano neurosurgery, and the neurosurgeons will be able to detect efficiently, confirm the malignancy of the cells and treat brain injury with the nanostructures. So the nanovectors, the nanostructures, nanoplatforms and nanoscale, all objects hold the potential to bring about the less invasive and more selective treatment of the brain tumors and other CNS diseases. So these are the applications, the advantages and uses of the application of nanotechnology with reference to the nanoparticles as the nanocarriers in the cancer cell therapy. And we have done excellently, and then in our laboratory also we have been doing a lot of work on the nanosciences. In fact, I compiled a monograph of the book Bio Nanosciences in 19 chapters, and how the cancer, development, potential development, what are the development of the various pharmaceutics, and then medical imaging, diagnosis, cancer treatments, and then implantable materials, then the tissue regeneration, multifunctional platforms combining several of these modes of action. Everything I have illustrated in the edited volume of the Bio Nanosciences, which is only one of the best creation in our laboratory done in Madurai Kamaraj University. And then also we have a very good publication, one which you like to mention in the carbohydrate polymers, and which has been even developed some 7 years before, and one the title the saponin loader chitosan nanoparticles and their cytotoxicities of the cancer cell lines in vitro we have been detected. And then another one, the important publication we published is the in process biochemistry, the green biosynthesis of the silver nanoparticles. I think this how it takes major role from the particles or the phytodrugs developed from the ananas, squamous or leaf extract, and then we work with the MCF cell 7 cells. And then in addition to that, we have the a paper in the cancer nanotechnology also under the title of the development of the in vitro gene delivery system. And then next another paper is the multifunctional HER2 antibody conjugated polymeric nanomeric based drug delivery system. And all together we had a very good, the resources in terms of the research we have, especially on the nano vectors and nanoparticles as platforms in the cancer nanotherapy. So with this, I would like to conclude my talk, and thank you one and all for the patient hearing. Thank you.